Hello, in this new video. Today we're going to take a look at a Pokemon that I really want to take a look at anyway. It's going to be the Shadow variant of Magmar. And as you can see in my storage, I don't have one. And so we have some battles here sent to us already quite early on in the season for this Pokemon. So today we're going to finally take a look at the gameplay that we have here. And of course, Magmar is quite interesting for two reasons actually. The first one is Karate Chop, which is the obvious one. The other one is actually the coverage that it has in Scorching Sands. Scorching Sands is a move that recently got added as well to the game, and also Magmar got it and never really had any use of course with it, but funnily enough, even for the people that ever played VGC, Magmar has a bit of a history there that it is actually a very solid Pokemon, and now maybe even in the Go Battle League it has some play again, as this Pokemon is such an OG Pokemon. I really like this thing, has a bit more play now with such a unique fast move and moveset as well. So today we're going to take a look at those battles here. We're going to have a team with Cresselia as well as the Azumarill, so we're packing some bulk in the back and having all shields basically for Squishy Boy in the lead, which I like as well as a concept for a team. And here you're going to be able to still go for another charge move, allowing you to align yourself, and as you're going to see here now, it's going to get the knockout there. We're going to have the Superior, and we're going to have a perfect matchup for you as Azumarill goes up against the Manabus. Next opponent, a lovely lead again. We're going to have Lurantis, and they swap into the Drapier, and you can go for that super effective Scorching Sands. They might not know about it, and as you're gonna see here, the opponent is going to run Awkward here, which actually makes it quite interesting for you. Especially if you won't get the debuff here, which you are not going to be able to do. You will be able to completely wall the opponent with the Azumarill moveset here. Of course, the fast move is going to do super effective damage, but you're still going to be in a very solid spot here, as Crunch as well as Awkward here are both going to be resisted from the Azumarill, allowing you to take this hit. We're gonna see the Ice Beam now coming through against the Lurantis as well, which I like as well quite a bit, as it's going to allow you to get the shield here from the opponent. And even if they're going to knock you out here, your Magmar has actually the option to again then go later on for a Scorching Sand to knock them out. And so we have quite an interesting scenario here where you can just go ahead and go for the Fire Punch and maybe even get a ton of energy afterwards. Never mind, but you can at least swap out into your Cresselia and take a hit. Yeah, I was thinking that the Fire Punch wouldn't do that much damage, but apparently it does quite a lot of damage here. In comes the Diggersby. This, I guess, opens up again an opportunity. I don't think Diggersby goes down to 2 Grass Knot, as you can see here as well. I don't think you're going to go down to this move either, even though I think you got a defense drop on this Pokemon. It's going to be with Fire Punch anyway. And so now it's down to this Grass Knot connecting, and afterwards you should be able to swap out here into your Magmar and fully farm them down with the Karate Chop being buffed this season, being one of the best fast moves in the game, if not the best fast move in the game, allowing you to go for another Fire Punch. And as you saw already, this Pokemon did massive damage before and is still doing massive damage and winning the battle as well here. Next opponent, we're going to have the Ariados. Ariados is going to be one that you definitely don't really want to mess with your backline. Your backline is quite weak to it, and you cannot just store some energy, which I kind of like there as well, as you're going to have a hard counter here in Azumarill against the Guzzlord. But actually, nowadays it runs the move Sludge Bomb since this season, because the Brutal Swing is the best other charge move, and then you have the option to go for Dragon Claw, which is the same energy as Brutal Swing, but does 5 less damage, or for Crunch, which does a bit more damage and takes a bit more energy, but is the same type as Brutal Swing. And so people opt to go for the coverage move of Sludge Bomb, which I feel like is also the correct play to go for. But as you're gonna see here, the opponent swaps out into the Ariados, allowing you to go for the double Fire Punch on your Magmar. Magmar is doing double resisted damage with the fast move, but the charge moves are hitting quite hard here, as you're gonna see as well. It's gonna take the knockout, and the Ariados is gonna go down as they're gonna go into their final Pokemon, the Miltank, and you can't even reach the Scorching Sand, doing even more damage than the Fire Punch would have done before, doing so much damage against the opponent. Holy hell, as now the Miltank is gonna go up against the Cresselia here. Ice Beam going to connect, is going to be able to get just a bit of damage onto us. They swap out into the Guzzlord. You can use your shield here. Best opportunity to go for the shield. It's actually a Dragon Claw variant. That does not make any sense at all, but definitely going to guarantee you to win the battle here. You could have already most day won the battle like 3-4 turns before kinda, but yeah, the Moolah's coming through. You can go for another charge move. It's going to be game anyway, and we can move on to the next opponent. So let's see what the next battle is going to have here for us. You're going to have the Magmar against Gastron again for like the ranking. This was submitted to me kind of at the end for the Great League, first week of Great League there. So definitely still going to be solid battles here as well. And as you're going to see, Drapion is going to be going up against our Azumarill again. Like, sadly going to get the debuff, which is kind of unfortunate. I actually would go for an Ice Beam here instead, but maybe I'm wrong. I am wrong. Definitely right call to go for the Play Rough here. Azumarill, for sure, one of the strongest Pokemon in the current meta. For sure, a very, very good pick to run in a Go Battle League right now. But in comes now the Gastrodon. Gastrodon is going to be a Pokemon that I definitely would not want to face with that Magmar, but at least you're going to have a great answer in the Cresselia, which can go ahead and go for the Grassland, which does super effective damage. And as you're going to try to go for the Earth Power, you can easily take one. And let's see what is going to happen next. You're going to see the swap out into the Sandslash, a Pokemon that's double weak to fire and fighting, which is both coverage of the lead of Magmar. And as you're going to see here, it just chunks it down. It's worth it to go for a shield here because like this, you are going to be able to just take this hit. We can go for the full farm down and then you can just go for another Scorching Sands. Could have even went for one more fast move first. This is going to mostly force a shield. Gonna not get a drop there, which is kinda sad, but you force the opponent to go for a charge move, which is happy. You can use the shield as well. Boyasm is coming through, you can go for another Scorching Sands, trying to fish for another debuff here as well. 30% chance, and as you're gonna see, we're gonna have the Grassland coming in next, which is going to be enough to knock them out, and we can move on to the next opponent. Let's take a look at this one. We're going to have the Clodsire in the lead. That is going to be one that we kind of can hit at least with the Scorching Sands. This is going to be great. This Scorching Sands is going to do some super effective damage, and look at the amount of damage we can do with this Pokemon. Honestly, I love Magmar. I was really hoping that someone would send me some gameplay here, so I'm very happy about this. So thanks so much again for this one. I just don't have a shit on Magmar, but the next time this Pokemon gets available again, I'm for sure gonna hunt this thing down because it looks like so much fun right now. Foul play coming through from the opponent, that is fine. You can still at least go ahead and go for these super effective hits here with the Moonblast. The opponent might even want to use a shield, but not today apparently. As you're still gonna be able to, I think, win the battle. I think you can take still a hit here. Let's find out. Foul play coming through. I think it's because they are running foul play over the Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse is definitely recommended on the Mandibus. And here now you're going to be able to at least align your Azumarill. You have to see if they're going to run Sludge Bomb or the Stone Edge. Really depends on the current moveset here. It's going to be the Stone Edge variant as they decide to go for the Earthquake, which is fine, as you can use maybe even a shield here if you want to. You can even let the move go through, to be fair. This is totally okay for you, as they're going to reveal their final Pokemon being the Machamp. And I think it's best for you to swap out here, to not give them any energy here at all, but apparently you rather decide to stay in, go for a no shield as well. They're gonna go for the cross chop, which you're not gonna be able to survive, and now it's all down to the Magmar. I think you should just swap out straight away. I think this would have been the better play for you, because at the end of the day, you just basically wasted your Azumarill there. The Azumarill still would have been able to do something against the opponent's Clodsire, but like this, it's going to be a bit of a tough one, as the opponent is going to be able to outspeed you. You have to overfarm, and I think this might be enough for you. I think this looks really, really good for you now, is this Fire Punch is coming through, getting the knockout against Clodsire. The opponent has one charge move stored, but I don't think there are two stored, and so it doesn't even make sense for them to go for a cross chop. But what you're gonna see here again, the Fire Punch is coming through, is going to connect, is going to win, and we can move on to the next opponent. Clodsire in the lead. Again, we're going to have access to the move Scorching Sands, which you should be able to reach before they can go for any hard-hitting move here. And so it's going to be great for you to do some initial damage, I guess, against the opponent, while then being able to swap out into your, I guess, Cresselia. Not too sure on how good Cresselia is in the current meta as a safe swap, but apparently it's kind of okay. Here's the opponent stays in. They swap out now into the Mandibus, but you're still going to be able to do some nice damage with the Moonblast. Moonblast is kind of the way to go right now, as the Psychic type move of Future Sight got a nerf, and Moonblast is going to give you some better coverage against the current meta. We're gonna see the Dark Pulse coming through. It's going to do some solid damage, as we're gonna try our best to go for another Moonblast. Let's see how this is gonna work out for them. You're gonna get another Grass Knot off here, nearly at least, but you might even be able to go for the full farm down with your lead of Magmar. Let's see what you're gonna try to do. You're gonna go for the safe play. Okay, never mind. This is definitely the right call to go into the Azumarill here, as the opponent can go for an Air Raid A still. We have the Clodsire coming back in. You could use a shield here just in case, but you let the move go through. It's going to be a Stone Edge. Great. No shield here from you for sure. As Ice Beam is going to now go through, would be able to connect. Most likely going to be able to get the knockout, and let's find out what they have have in the back here. The final Pokemon should be revealed now. It's going to be that Feraligatr, and that's going to be a tough matchup for sure, but you can still try to go for the play rough. This is going to be enough to get them quite low here as well. Gonna get the shield, but you have to let the move go through at this point and hope that somehow Magmar is going to be able to push through this one. Trying to win the battle with this fire-type Pokemon against the water-type is going to be quite tricky. You have to most likely call a bait here, like basically go for the Fire Punch instead of the Scorching Sand. Or maybe actually with the damage output here right now, it kind of looks like that double Fire Punch might be even the way to go. But the opponent gonna catch the move and you have to completely undercharge it to 0. And that is going to be definitely a loss here, sadly. Going to be... Oh wait, do you win the CMP tie? I'm not too sure if you win the CMP tie. Maybe you can still win this. Let's find out. You actually do win the CMP tie with the Magmar. This is ridiculous. You're gonna be able to get the knockout and that is going to be game. Moving on to the next opponent, we're going to have Dunsparce here. Dunsparce is going to be one of the Pokemon that does super effective damage against you, but you also do super effective damage against them. As you swap out into the Cresselia to take a hit, you are going to be able to now go ahead and let basically any kind of move go through here. Cresselia is so bulky, it doesn't really matter what the opponent tries to do here. We're gonna have that Moonblast coming through again, getting the shield. And let's see what is going to happen next. Gonna let the move go through. It is going to be the Drill Run. And you are going to be able to now go up against the Clodsire. You can still at least go for the Grass Knot, which does neutral damage. Fast Move is doing some super effective damage, but not really that much of it. And you swap out actually into the Azumarill, which is an interesting play. Bubble is doing super effective damage. Ice Beam doing super effective damage. But also the Fast Move of Poison Sting is doing super effective damage. This is not going to be enough to knock them out. They don't really have to use a shield here. And so it is going to be a very interesting matchup. They decide to still use a shield. Like it would have not been a knockout anyway. But maybe you're just gonna try again to win the battle with your Magmar as the Dunsparce is coming in. You can still take a hit and you decide to go for the Ice Beam, which is an interesting choice. I guess you know that you have to go for a charge move anyway with your Magmar afterwards, so I would imagine that they decide to swap out here at this point into the Magmar and try their best, but they actually decide to swap out into the Cresselia, which can still take a hit as well. I guess you really want to just get rid of that Dunsparce without taking any damage on your Magmar. This should be enough to knock them out, I think. This Moonblast should do most likely enough damage here. And it does not, actually. You can still go for the full farm down though, which is even better for you. And in comes the Clodsire, which you can still hit with a Grass Knot. That is ridiculous. This is going to be very good for you. Gonna put you into a position where you can sacrifice basically your Azumarill. I would let the move go through and just go for the full farm down basically with your Magmar here. Or even go for a Fire Punch. It's not even too bad to go for a Fire Punch here, but the opponent is lagging a bit. Now it's down to the matchup against Azumarill. You have to time your moves correctly here in order to have a chance, but you're generating way more energy than the opponent. But sadly, you're not getting any debuff so far with these Scorching Sands, which is really, really unfortunate, as this is going to come through here again, not getting another debuff. You're going to have to go for most likely a Fire Punch here at this point, as you resist basically the charge moves from the opponent. No, you're actually going to go for the Scorching Sand. This should be enough to knock them out, but can you still win the battle is the question here. It is going to be going down against the Clodsire, and you can still go for the full farm turn to win this one. Horrific lead. This is going to be one of the worst leads that you can have, but you are still going to be able to at least generate a bit more energy than the opponent does, and this is going to maybe impact it a bit in the two-shield scenario, but you decide to go anyway straight for the Scorching Sands. Gonna get the knockout here against the Feraligatr, and so we can say goodbye to that one. In comes Licky going up against the Cresselia, which is going to be a very neutral matchup. Actually, I think it's a bit better now for Cresselia compared to the matchup against Lickitung. Lickitung, of course, a Pokemon that you don't really see at all anymore, which is quite mad. I feel like there is a shout where like Lickitung still has some potential in the current meta, but for sure, especially as it's kind of dark type orientated, it might not be the ideal Pokemon to run right now, so maybe it does make sense. But Licky here, interesting Pokemon as well. Like they are like basically those 3 or 4 fast like Saceops there. They're all normal type. They all have kind of rollout, and they all do kind of similar things like Miltank. You have the Dunsparce. They all like great Saceops for the current meta, but they're all kind of just a tiny bit different to each other. Anyway, Licky is gonna have to take a Fire Punch now from that Magmar. Going to be enough to get the shield from them as they swap out into the Legaspi, which you can retaliate with the Azumarill. While this is actually not the best matchup ever, And still should be a matchup that you should be able to win, especially as the opponent doesn't get the debuff here straight away. Ace Beam should do around like 50% of the opponent's health, and so we are gonna see a 2-shot here. And let's take a look what the opponent gonna do next. They're gonna decide to go ahead and go for that Scorching Sands. This is going to be fine, and they're gonna actually get the attack drop now, which might be a bit impactful as it's gonna not knock them out anymore, but you still should be fine here as Magmar. Even, oh, it actually does still knock them out, so like, don't mind me. It's going to be an easy victory, and we can move on to the final battle for today. Again, thanks so much for sending in those battles, and we're gonna see a great matchup for you as well in the lead, as you're gonna do super effective damage while taking resisted damage from the opponent. This is going to be great, as the Scorching Sand is going to do a ton of damage here, force user shield, as the opponent has option to go for the drill run here, which they decide to do as well. And in comes now the Digger Spear. You can take some energy there as well, and you can swap out as the game or lags here. The yeah, Cresselia should be actually kind of fine now. I think maybe thanks to the extra damage from that lead matchup there, you might be able to 2-shot them with that one, but I think you barely miss out on it. But we're gonna see it here as well. Yeah, I think it's, oh, maybe it's enough. I think with the Psycho Cat damage now, I think it should be enough to knock them out. But you sadly get the attack drop anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But they're also lagging quite a bit. The opponents all kind of be a bit lagging here, which is of course very good for you, but like not so great for the opponents. And so you're gonna let them move through here. Even if you go back into the Magma, you should be fine, but you could also go into the Azumarill, which is also fine here for you, but let's see what you're gonna decide to go for. Magma it is. You can go for a Fire Punch. Oh, you don't need to do this. Like, Fire Punch would have been easily enough. Fire Punch would have definitely been enough, but you can at least still go for another charge move here against the opponent's Dunsparce. Gonna be great. Gonna get the shield, gonna get the debuff, and this is going to be it for this video, as well as the opponent decides to forfeit here. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I will see you then. Bye bye.